Your value increases when you add value to others.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Student Stories. And today we have Jeyakumar, and he's from Malaysia. He traveled all the way from Malaysia to the UK to do his MBA at Bristol, University of West of England in Bristol. And today we have him on this episode, on the third episode. And welcome Jeyakumar. And how are you doing?
Hi Javis, thank you for having me here. I'm doing good. I'm doing well. Good to speak to you after a long time. And yeah, happy to share whatever I can share about my experience in Bristol.
So Jeyakumar obviously has had a wide range of experience. He studied in Malaysia. He's traveled. He's worked with MNCs, no companies outside globally as well. And if you see his experience and someone from his mindset, to move to a different country and start afresh and to do a master's, that's a big thing. That's a big step. And then, if you really want to know anything about partying and nightlife in Bristol, he's the man to go to.
I agree with that.
But Jeyakumar, just to start off, why did you choose the UK and why did you choose Bristol as a city?
Okay, so initially, before I had made the decision to move to the UK, I took account into which countries where I can get the applicable student visas. So being a Malaysian, I had shortlisted the UK, Canada and Australia, but the UK as a Malaysian holding the Malaysian passport is one of the few countries where they are a bit lenient to allow the student visas. And also, having studied in Malaysia, my bachelor degree was with a partner university with UWE Bristol. So for me, I would get an alumni route to go study in UWE Bristol because my bachelor degree was from a partner university. Also, that will speed up my visa application. So it kind of, the main, I would say, is like, it gives me a smooth process to get the visa, to get the offer letter from UWE as well. So that was the basis of my decision to go to Bristol.
Okay, and just going to your question, what was the university you studied in Malaysia that was partnered?
Taylor's University.
Okay, and is there a particular way to check, or does your university tell you if you've partnered, or how do you come to know about that?
So at the point when I decided to do my bachelor's in Taylor's, they do let you know certain programs have different partners. So the business school partners with UWE. So they would then let you know when you graduate, you will receive 2 scrolls, one from Taylor's University and one from UWE. And also when I was doing my bachelor's, I had the access to UWE resources. So for example, the online library, the online journals as well. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. That's something new. I didn't know they had partners like that, but no, that's amazing. So does that have an implication also on the fees you pay and the how much you pay for your tuition fee?
So actually, I was treated as an alumni student joining back to do the master's program.
Okay.
So if you're an alumni, they give you a 25% bursary discount on your tuition fees. So I was eligible to receive the 25% discount. So that also reduces the cost for me to move abroad. So that is also one of the contributing factors for this decision to go to UWE Bristol.
Oh, that's a win.
Yeah.
I mean, any discount's good discount. But yeah, and especially when you're moving to a different country, I think whatever the amount, I think it helps. And then taking it back a little bit, how long did it take for you to apply? Did you apply through your university, or did you apply directly to the our UWE website? Is that how you went through, just like every other student?
Okay, good question. So actually, for me personally, I contacted the UWE Bristol Asia Pacific office.
Okay.
And they then suggested to me, they actually have a list of education agents which they work with. And they had suggested to me if I were to apply with one of their agents, they would then guide me throughout the whole application process. So from the course application process to the visa application process, the agent would then guide me. So I then contacted one of their agents. I'm happy to mention it's called JM Education Group. I didn't have to pay a single fee to the agent. They just guided me from A to Z, from what of the documents I needed to prepare to submit my course application, the documents I needed to submit for my visa. They also guided me one-to-one online how to make sure my application is complete, and advised me as well about my flight details, which is the right flights, who do I meet when I first arrive in Bristol.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So like, I see. No, obviously you chose the UK, you chose Bristol, and then you chose University of West of England. How was your experience in shifting? Like, how did you find the shift from Malaysia to the UK?
Okay. I think one thing that really helps is because English is widely spoken in Malaysia as well. So I think the language, knowing the local language in the UK, I mean English, it's helped me really well. Although they have a different accent over there, but
Yeah.
I think that helped me settling in. Besides that, I would say one thing played a really important factor is you come from Asia or Malaysia where tropical weather, and then you move to the UK and it's cold over there. So I think that played a big difference for me. And I was moving abroad alone.
Okay.
I remember, I think in your first episode, Raphael had a wife, he mentioned. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was moving alone. So it did take a while. I'm going to be honest with you. It did take a couple of months to get used moving abroad to Bristol, especially from a different climate, different weather, different demographic as well. So it took me a while to get used to Bristol.
Right.
Yeah.
And no, how did you find the transition? Like, what's it culturally? Like, was there a change, or did you just move right in and just fit right in? How was that change to you personally?
I think in the beginning it was some sense of like there was a lot of cultural differences coming from a country like Malaysia, where I think it's a bit more on the conservative side. Whereas moving to Bristol, I think people are much more outgoing, much more chatty. You could have strangers coming up to you and just sparking different conversations. So it was also a learning curve for me on, moving abroad, learning a new culture. Stepping out of my comfort zone, I say I had to make new friends as well. Yeah, so for me, I think I'm someone who enjoys it. So I did find it quite interesting. It did take a while. But I think one thing I would highlight is Bristol. I think generally people tend to be very accommodating and nice there, even though you're new. So that helped me a lot.
So guys watching, please do like, share, and subscribe. If you want to know more, and we'll be going into more details as to the cost, the expenditures, and so on. Stay till the end of the video to get all those details. Now, moving on to my next question. Why did you want to do a master's program? Now, I know that you were working before you started, so obviously, why a master's and why an MBA?
Okay, so like you mentioned, I was working before the MBA. My bachelor's, I did study in human resource management, but that was my major. I was working as a HR advisor in a oil and gas MNC as well. For me personally, why I wanted to study an MBA is because my education and my working experience was very pure in human resource management, and that is something I like doing. But I do foresee myself at one point delving into like a HR consultancy role, opening up my own HR consultancy. So I feel that I needed the business education because I do not have finance education, making the right financial decisions, for example. Maybe a bit of marketing as well, sales and marketing, which are really important in any business you want to open. So I felt like learning an MBA would open up my knowledge about business as a whole, because prior to that, like I was very pure in a pure HR field. So I didn't have the education, I would say, for business as a whole. Yeah.
Right. So, what did you do for your undergrad? Was your undergrad something related to business, or was it a more engineering side? Or
it was a business major in human resource management.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had a bachelor's in was it a BBA or?
BBA bracket human resource management. Yeah.
Nice. So you kind of just stream, like that's basically your field then. So it wasn't like you were going out of your way to start something afresh.
Yes.
Yeah, because for me, I did my engineering, mechanical engineering, and then moved into a more business kind of role. So I think it's two different ways to look at it. I think no, I wanted to put more a business process together with a business mindset and the whole structure of learning, like you said, getting the understanding and nitty-gritties of what a business should actually comprise of, and then a process-driven mindset where a mechanical engineer would actually work on. So you combine both to actually make it really strong. So so I think different journeys, different outputs, and we're all on a different journey as well. So
for sure.
It's interesting to see yours. Can you shed light on significant challenges that you faced in a new country, and particularly when you moved to the UK, what were the challenges that you faced?
Okay, so like I've already mentioned about the differences in weather, so that was a huge difference. Number two, not having family around you and your close friends around you, which is a good challenge as well, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to move out of my comfort zone. So now you end up doing everything on your own. You don't have the family support around you. You don't have the convenience of, if you need help, your friends around you. So it was a good challenge. You tend to solve things on your own, like every small thing from household chores to having to any issues you have yourself, and then you find ways to troubleshoot in a new country. So I think that was one difficult thing. Also, I would say is integrating into the local society, using the local transport, learning new ways. That was a challenge as well for me. But
so did you use the public transport a lot, or?
I had to a lot.
So you didn't have like your personal car or anything. So
no.
Is that difficult to get?
Difficult to get a car?
Yeah, to get your personal vehicle or to get a driver's license. How does it work? Like, does the UK accept your driver's license and so on?
Unfortunately, Javis, no. So as a Malaysian, I have my driving license in Malaysia, but it's not recognized in the UK. So I can get the international driving license for a year, and then I would need to go through the process to get a British driving license.
Right.
But due to financial situations, I chose not to pursue to have a mobile car. So I relied much on public transport. Yeah. So I think for me, to be honest, Javis, the main challenge of moving abroad is to build your own network and learning the know-hows to do around things, learning the local ways. Because I came from a very comfort zone in Malaysia where everything is as easy as one call. Whereas I learned in the UK, certain, like for example, you need a plumber. He's not going to come. He's not going to come to your house in 10 minutes. Yeah, it might take days. Yeah, you know. So understanding the ways it's going on in the UK, how the economic is working in the UK, so that was a challenge.
That's the problem when you live as a king in Malaysia, you're living a thug life. So I'm guessing it's not easy for you to get to a new country and start afresh where people are not on the dial.
Okay, then what? But I'm actually quite blessed because I did make friends easily. Our MBA cohort, we had really nice friends. I had some Malaysian support as well in Bristol. So I had some friends who I knew back in Malaysia who were in Bristol who were to help me. Yeah, so I think it just took me a couple of months to get accustomed to the new place. And I think language plays a very important role. So if you speak English, and it helps you a lot wherever you're going to move to. So, for example, if I had to move to maybe a country that speaks Spanish, I think it would have been a totally different story now. Yeah.
Well, are you a Ronaldo fan or a Messi fan?
I think I used to be Ronaldo, but I'm more Messi now.
There you go. All right. Anyways, coming back to this of choosing Bristol, and how did you find socializing wise and speaking to people, meeting new people, partying, nightlife, and all that. Just in general, like the daily life and daily culture in Bristol. How was that?
It was very interesting because I think Bristol was so diverse. So I think I started with our MBA classmates. It was my first time having friends from different parts of the world. We had friends from Africa, I think every continent. Even I made friends while working in university from South America as well, Europe, Asia, different parts of Asia. One thing was very interesting is I think in our classmates who we wanted to do the MBA, all of us had working experience. So it's very interesting learning from different people, coming from different cultures, different experiences, and that's when you realize there's so much more to learn from other people, how different people are, in certain ways, and in certain ways how similar we can be as well. Yeah, so that was really nice. And also the diversity in terms of our age gap in our MBA cohort. We had much more senior members in the cohort as well. So it was good to learn from their experience as well. And also opening up to Bristol in general. People are very nice, very welcoming over there. So you get to meet people from different cultures, and then they share about their culture to you. I would have never imagined I would have friends from so you mentioned that you grew up in Mozambique. So
Yeah.
I had never met anyone who had experienced Mozambique before. Then Nigeria, America as well. Yeah. So that one thing I also was very important to me was the experiences that everyone has in their own country or where they came from, how they solve things, their experience in working ways. Certain cultures, they are a bit more hardy in solving problems. They have different approaches. So that also was an eye opener for me. Yeah.
Right. And what were the things that you prepared for? Like, for example, now I think when you're moving to a different country, you generally do take precautions, or you prepare beforehand for accommodation, stay, and so on. I think before we started our masters, I'm not sure if it was you, but I'm pretty sure I messaged a few people in the group, and we got like, I think, WhatsApp group or something, to find a place to stay and so on. So what were the steps you took before landing in the UK to make sure that you had a smooth transition?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I had the agent who helped me throughout the process. So they were the first point of contact in terms of like any questions I had in terms of cost of living, rental, and even I'll go to extent, where do you buy your groceries? Are you going to buy food?
Okay.
Yeah. So they helped me, like, there's certain spots in Bristol. This is where mostly the students stay. This is nearer to your campus. If you choose to stay a bit further, maybe there's bus options for you, train options for you. So that were my first point of contact. Secondly, very similar to what you did, I started to join Facebook groups to then make friends on Facebook groups. I think we had joined one group as well, and then also reaching out to friends. Some of my friends, I actually didn't know them personally. It was through connections. So I asked around family members, do you know anyone living in Bristol? Get up, call them over the phone, ask them for their experience. What did they do when they moved there? Is there any advice they can give me? Any mistakes they made? And then they will share to me. Yeah, most of them said be prepared with your cold winter jackets. Yeah. That's important. Yeah, so yeah.
And you shifted during right after COVID, right? So how was that travel? Was that something that was difficult as well? Did you face any challenges, or was that smooth?
I think the quarantine was a bit challenging because you're flying into a new country and then you're straight quarantined for 10 days. So, you're totally somewhere new. For the first time, I was like moving abroad, and then, I can't go out. But they did allow us to only get groceries. So that was only for the first 10 days, I was only going out to get groceries. So it was a challenge in the beginning during quarantine, yeah.
Right. And how was your during your university life and while you were studying, how was the support? Like, obviously you received support from class teachers and lecturers. How was that whole experience? Did you get a lot of support, or was a lot of things needed to be self-taught?
I think our lecturers, because doing an MBA in general is very more self-thought process, self-study process. Whenever I needed help from the lecturers, they were available for me. They had responded to my emails if I had any questions. So I personally found I didn't have any issues with our lecturers or our cohort. And even my classmates were very supportive, including you. I think you would have been sick by me at that time, asking you for help. Yeah, but and also vice versa. Whenever anybody needed some help from me, I would help them as well. So I had a good experience. Maybe I truly understand that not everyone will have a good experience. You can never make everyone happy. But for my personal self, I said my lecturers helped me when I needed resources for them.
That's great. how was your whole accommodation? How did you find your accommodation, and was that simple, or like tenancy agreements? Once you landed, like once you obviously moved in, shifted to your place that you got, was that process simple? Did you have any issues? Because I know a lot of people talk about a lot of accommodation issues, as well as Bristol being an international place where a lot of international students are coming in. It's very hard to find accommodation. Now, how was that whole experience?
So, like I mentioned earlier, the call, I had friends who stayed in Bristol. They
Right.
warned me there is a high demand in accommodation, so they told me start finding it early. So I had to go uh, through Facebook groups. I used the Spare Room app. I did manage to find I was lucky. My first landlord was a very nice landlord. So but it took me a while. I have to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It took me about 2 months finding. I had to contact, I think if you add up the numbers, up to 20 different landlords. I think
Right.
some don't bother replying you, some do reply you. Yeah, so it did take me a while. But she was very nice, my landlady. She while I was still in Malaysia, she had told me that once you arrive in Bristol, just give her a call. She'll be there to welcome me, to pass me my keys. If
Okay.
I needed any amenities, for example, like my pillows, my bed sheets, I need toiletries, she will buy and keep it in the house for me.
Oh, that's
But
great.
it was a process to find
Yeah.
a available room. I have to admit, it did take a while, and there's a lot of competition, I would say, because there's high demand as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean,
yeah.
a lot of people struggled.
And also, so when that tenancy came to an end, I learned that you have to find early. So I think I gave myself 4 months before my first tenancy ended to then find another landlord. Yeah.
Okay. So you couldn't continue with the same, or you wanted to change?
I could have continued, but I decided to change because I was then already completing my MBA. I was transitioning into working in the UK. So it was
Okay.
purely because of location, I decided to change.
Right. So, just no, that's a nice segue into the next topic, where your job in the UK. So, did you work while studying? And how did you go through that? Like in terms of your work, as well as part-time work, or anything that you did, even after university. How did you get your job?
So during university, I was working part time with an agency. It was called the Waiting Game.
Okay.
One thing nice about this agency is 0 hours contract. So you work on flexibility. When you can work part time for them.
Right.
And it's very flexible in terms that you can work once a week, maybe once a month, twice a month when you're busy, and then when you're on your SEM break, you can work 7 days a week. Obviously, you have that particular hours a week you're allowed to work as a foreign student. The shifts are a bit variety. You can work as a till cashier, as a bartender, event support staff. So during when I was studying, I was working part time with this agency. Mostly, I was working in the Ashton Gate Stadium as a bartender and also event support staff. Why I like this agency is it was given me a flexibility. So during the weeks where we have assignments and we have classes to go, I would then focus on university. The weeks where we have a break, I can then just go work. And so it helped me with some side pocket money as well during my university program. And once I was graduated for MBA, I pretty much just went online and applied for HR, particularly HR roles in Bristol. There was one particular firm, a financial firm, offered me as a HR assistant.
Okay.
And at that time, I wanted to get working experience in the UK, so that is why I then accepted that role to work in Bristol. Yeah.
Right. And so, apart from your part-time job, did you do any other like technical, like especially with your management skills or your HR skills, did you apply for any jobs like that, like part-time, or no, was it completely just
During my university, no,
Okay.
I was I made the decision to focus on uni and then
Right.
only do work when I had a bit of free time, which only this then allowed me. But I'd like to mention that during our university, for my dissertation, I did undertake the consultancy dissertation.
Right.
Yeah, so that allowed me, even though it was unpaid work, it was work in a way because we were being consultants. That I used my HR expertise because I worked. My project was to implement a HR system for a SME in Bristol. Yeah.
That's great. And how was the program as such, like an MBA? was it what you expected? Did you get everything you wanted out of it, or did you have any things that you felt that you needed more knowledge on, or did you have things that you needed to more like specialize on later after you finished?
I think in terms of the education and academics, I'm quite satisfied from what we got. Our lecturers as well, I think they did their best. One thing I wish our program had more was more inviting more business people from the industry to share their experience with the cohort.
Okay.
I think it was kind of mentioned in our prospectus. I think we have
Okay.
like Bristol business events.
Yeah.
Sadly, I think during our time there was not much organized, and like, you know, for example, if you see some universities, they actually bring in CEOs from companies, you know, sharing more hands-on business experiences, sharing situational business situations, how they overcome business situations. I think that would have been would have added more to my experience.
Thinking about that now I think about it and I'm like, it sounds like that's something that was mentioned in the prospectus, and
Yes.
and we didn't get. But at that time, I think even though I was a student rep, I think there were lots of conversations as to what we want to do and so on. But we were so limited because of COVID. And we just came out because I think we start I think our first semester or our first few months it was fully remote. And then we had classes in person, and then slowly we started completely coming to uni for everything. But I'm I'm thinking now, I'm like, no, why didn't we raise that, or why didn't we ask university to actually help us out to get more people to actually see. But there were a lot of events. I think I went to a lot of networking events and so on, which was conducted at uni, like business events, because we did have an incubator as well behind the business school for startups. So I think that's different, but still, it would have been nice to have a lot of industry experts. Anyways, now coming back to how you found the cohort, or obviously in our cohort, we had 80 people who completely international, local people. And how were you welcomed? Did you did you mingle with everyone, or did you find your friends and then stick with them? How was your experience in that?
I think for me, I pretty much made friends with everybody in our cohort. Obviously, in the beginning, you start with a couple of friends. I think it was you, our friends from America, and a couple of friends from India as well. Mm-hmm. And then slowly, as classes went by, I started branching out. I made more friends. And then I think after 3 months in, we all knew each other. I was coming in class, everyone was dabbing me up. But as you mentioned, it was interesting because everyone was international. There was no pure local British. So that was interesting. Each day in class we sit beside somebody else. So that was interesting as well. Making a lot of diverse friends in the cohort. But I think when you do a master's, I think everyone has reached a certain maturity level. Yeah. So you may not be so close to that person. You may not be talking to the person all the time. But when you meet in class, it's very we exchange our ideas. It was very professional, I would say, the way we had our friendships in the cohort. Yeah.
That's great. Now, moving on to something a little bit more serious, I think I want you to shed more light or go deep in, which is the finances, right? Did you fund your course, or did you get help from your family, or did you get a loan? How did you fund your course?
Okay, so for my tuition fees, my family helped me to pay for my fees. And very grateful for them to help me as well. I did have this conversation with my dad that I want to move abroad, moving to another country and to do an MBA. And he had my he said that, I have his full support, and I needed financial support for tuition fees. For cost of living, I had saved up quite a sum of money from working prior to moving to the UK. So that helped me to cover my cost of living expenses. And I also worked part-time, so that also helped me as well. But for the tuition fees particularly, I did get help from my family. And also, like I said, I got a bursary discount as well. Yeah.
Right. So, in terms of your tuition fee, how much did you pay out of your pocket? Because, like, for example, after your discount, I think international students pay somewhere around £15,000, and then local students would pay somewhere around £9,000. How much did you pay for your university fees?
So I think if I can remember correctly, after my discount, I had to pay 12,500.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And then how did you make sure that you met out your monthly expenses? And like I think you had a part-time job, but how much did you really actually need in hand? Because obviously for visa purposes, you need to show that you have this much amount in your bank account and so on. But apart from that, how much did you actually need with respect to the economic situation at that time and so on? How much did you need per month?
Okay, so if we put aside rent, I mean just for your living expenses.
Yeah.
I think for me, if you on a budget, I could survive with £300. But if I was going to the parties, then maybe it can be up to 400.
Oh, no, speak to us about the parties as well, man. After finishing this question.
So I mean, if you're going to Bristol, everyone knows. UK, there's a lot of places to party. Bristol is actually number 3 in the UK.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't know that.
So after studying very hard, doing your assignments, certain days it's good to give yourself a reward. Bristol has a really good music scene, drum and bass music scene.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of ways to have some sense of leisure as well in Bristol.
Right. No, I mean, I should have spent more time with you. I would have been educated on the social side of things.
You'll learn more music. Yeah.
Oh, only music?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm not allowed to say anything else. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, apart from the university experience and Bristol experience, did you travel around? And how did you, or did you go around Europe? What was your take on actually this choice that you made to start this journey of your MBA?
Yeah. So actually, one of my biggest regrets, I didn't travel around Europe much in the 2 years. I did travel around England a lot. I traveled up Manchester, Liverpool, London, Birmingham, Bath, Cotswold. And I think if you travel within the UK, you'll actually come to learn that the UK is quite diverse as well. Like, Bristol is a lot different from London.
Right.
And then you go up to Liverpool and Manchester, is very different as well. Bristol has a unique touch to it. Living there, I kind of loved living in Bristol. But I took it for granted because I had initially planned to be in the UK longer, but personal circumstances had it cut short. So I was confident that I would travel around Europe as I've been in the UK longer, but personal circumstances changed it. So now I'm back in Malaysia, working in Malaysia. So I didn't travel around Europe when I had the opportunity. But hopefully in the future I'll be back there. Yeah.
Right. And so did you get the post-study work visa and stuff?
Yes. So just like in the UK, if you complete, I think, a minimum 1 year course, you're allowed the 2-year post-study graduate visa. So that was the visa I hopped on, which allowed me to work for a year in the UK. Yeah.
Okay. And how was that change from your student visa to the post-study work visa? Was that easy? Did you find any difficulties? How was that visa process change?
I think the visa process was quite straightforward, Jabez. It was all online and it's all very guided through. I think credit to the Immigration Home Department in UK. They make it very straightforward. It's quite, maybe I would say, lengthy. There's a lot of forms to fill out. There's a lot of records to fill in. But it's pretty straightforward. Only pain here is you're going to pay 2,000. At my time, the fees was £2,000. So that's a lot of money coming out of your pocket. And from what I hear, the cost has gone up. For the post-study graduate visa.
It's the health surcharge that you pay for the entire 2 years at one stretch, and that makes it like a heavy amount, especially when you're right out of uni, you're just finishing and you're searching for a job, And amidst all that, you have to shell out this money. It's just like, oh no, I didn't expect this. Like even if you planned it, it's still difficult because every month is kind of difficult. Like, you look at the monthly expenses. You need at least £700 for rent, and then £300 for your
Living
food and like living expenses and travel and so on. And then on top of that, obviously, like every month is kind of different. Like you will definitely have small expenses here and there which come by. Like if you have something at uni, you want to take you want to go to a networking event, or you want to take part in something like a certification course, you got to pay out, like you got to pay for that as well. And I was working in London, so and I think some of the expenditures, travel expenses to the work and to office and stuff was not taken care of. So which meant that I had to put that out from my pocket. So from Bristol to London, maybe like once or twice a week. That was unexpected. But the things like that you don't plan, there are always expenses that pop out. But I don't think anyone can ever, as a student, like when you're going back even after working as a student, I don't think anyone can prepare enough to go to a new country and kind of set base in. You just have to like deal with it as you go.
Because I think there's a lot of things you will only know when you experience it. For example, certain, I don't know, like in the house, certain things might break, or like, you might need spare parts, and like you will only know the cost when you're there. And
even for example, food expenses, like food from different supermarkets are different. Like costs from different supermarkets, like it's not even like, oh okay, you have Asda, you have Lidl, you have Tesco, all of those have different costs. And I think when you land there, like if you haven't checked that all that before, when you do land there, it's a pleasant surprise. You just go in and you're like, oh wow, nice new place, let's go, let's buy stuff. And then you end up like, you actually check, oh there's a huge cost difference between the different supermarkets. So these are all things that I think everyone needs to take into consideration.
I also like to add, so like during my work, when I was working there, I had to travel between Bristol and Cheltenham often. And certain times when you're working and traveling, you may not have time to prepare your own meal, so you may have to have food outside, and even that is a cost. You might notice like for example, in Cheltenham, you can have a meal for £5 to £6. In Bristol, maybe it'll cost you up to £13 to £15. So even then, you only know your budgeting once you experience moving abroad, different cities, and so I would say, when you first move there, you will only, like, there is a lot of expenses. Your first move there, you might not have the time to make your own meal. You need to take out money. So I think it took me 3 months to know what is the right budget for a month.
It definitely takes time, and that too, I think when you're using public transport, the best option, like people don't think about this, but when they are in that particular city, like for example, Bristol has a bus pass for that region, and if you don't get the bus pass for like a monthly bus pass, if you want to pay for every ticket as you get on, it's going to end up being much more expensive than just getting a bus pass and going or using a bus pass. And the same thing for train tickets as well. Like I use Trainline. Trainline is an app that you can download for trains, and then for the train ticket, and then you can get a student pass. So once you apply for the student pass, every train train tickets that you take, or when you take a train ticket for a long duration, for example from Bristol to London, it actually gives you a discount as a student. So people don't know these things until someone actually goes ahead and tells them. So these are the things that I think I want to get out using this platform, so that people are prepared, or more prepared, when they're moving from a country to another country. Ideally, that's what this the student stories is supposed to help out with, and then the student experience and the university experience. So let's just winding up a bit, but how was your UK experience in terms of overall, like if you were given the chance to go back and take this decision again, would you choose the UK or would you move to another country?
Uh, I would choose. I have no regrets choosing the UK, Jabez. I think Bristol was I miss Bristol a lot. It was a really welcoming city, really friendly people. Had a really good time, with our classmates, doing the MBA cohort. Everyone was supportive. Also, I like to say that even though I worked in a limited time in the UK after my degree, like I worked for up to a year, but the experience working as well has taught me a lot. Like before this, my work experience was in Malaysia. Working in the UK is two different cultures as well. It'll go in, like, how do I say, the hierarchy is very different. How the communication channels between your bosses is so different in the UK compared to working in a country like Malaysia. So that has opened my eyes up a little about how, like, different, how companies have different offices all around the world. But then there's, for example, it may be Apple who has an office in Malaysia and they have an office in London, and you realize the working ways in both offices may be very different. So it gave me a lot of self-learning as well. So to answer your question, no regrets choosing the Bristol, choosing the UK. I just wish the winters was not so bad.
Well, but that's like a hot topic, right? In the UK, like everywhere you go into a meeting, what's the weather like? If you go into a meeting and one person's in London, one person in Bristol, how's the sun? Like, is the sun out on your side? No, it's not. It's raining here. No, people are always complaining about the weather in the UK. That's something that I've seen all the time.
I was complaining about it as well.
Well, okay. So the final thing from your side, I'm going to hand it over to you now. As an HR, what tips do you have for people to apply for jobs in the UK and to actually crack interviews and go into jobs or visa-sponsored jobs in the UK for students?
Okay, so if you're interested in HR and in the HR space, first of all, build your CV catered towards a HR role. Be specific which aspects of HR you want to be in. Do you want to be in HR operations? Do you want to be an HR generalist? Do you want to be in learning and development? So specify your cover letters to what role you want to be in. HR is kind of revolutionizing currently. They are getting more towards automation, more towards system, trying to go away from Excel spreadsheets. So if you can pick up some soft skills on the side, like like automation in HR or tech in HR, how to make payroll smoother, how to give employee experience better using systems. That is a big field in HR right now. So maybe you can have some soft skills in that. And one thing that helped me is there's a lot of dedicated HR recruiters in the UK as well. Reach out to them on LinkedIn because they will know the right companies that is having HR vacancies as well.
Right.
So reach out to your recruiters on LinkedIn as well. Yeah.
Okay, and just to end off now, but what about people who are international students graduating right now, and as like from an HR standpoint from your side, what should they do to whatever role that they're applying for? What should they do to make sure that they stand out and they actually get a visa-sponsored job?
Okay, so one thing I have to be honest with you, Jabez, HR is not a specialized field in the sense that it's not an engineering field, or it's not an engineering industry. So talent is quite wide. You can get a lot of people who can do HR work. So I'm
not talking about HR work. But you as an HR, you would have seen a lot of people apply for jobs and obviously send you resumes, and you're weaving through many of these applications. How can students apply and actually make their resume stand out for recruiters?
Yeah. So if you already have HR experience, please try to incorporate your HR experience. Try to be a bit more specific and try to show statistics. So, for example, if you were working in HR operations, try to put down the data, like how many number of queries you were solving a day, Were you doing data reporting? How many reporting you're doing a day? Try to get down your numbers on your CV. Recruiters like that. If you don't have HR experience, please try to do an internship or maybe some soft skills in HR. But one thing I realized, people in HR will want to see in your CV your numbers. So if you have working experience, please put down the numbers, your experience. If you've done projects as well, list down the number of projects you have done in your CV. It's very much highly sorted. Yeah.
Right. No, definitely numbers to make sure your output or the work that you did was impactful and successful. It really clearly just shows it when you put those things on your CV. And no, I think a lot of recruiters want to see how successful you were in your role, but at the same time, what impact you brought in for that organization. Obviously, you have the skill sets because you show your skill sets and so on, but what did you do on ground level? Were you able to succeed in your particular role? And that clearly shows with your numbers when you put it on. Thank you, Jeyakumar, for your time. It was amazing talking to you and catching up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jabez, as well. It was good. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of catching up off camera. But then thank you so much for your time and effort. And I'll catch you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Jabez.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.